Welcome back, amazing people! This week we are based in Seaside, Oregon, and today we made a short but beautiful drive up the Oregon coast to visit Fort Clatsop, the legendary winter camp of the Lewis and Clark expedition. We spent an entire day here exploring the Sitka spruce rainforest, chatting with the rangers and interpreters, and hearing some wild stories about the Corps of Discovery. From mystery and conspiracy to seeing an 18th century air rifle up close and earning our junior ranger badges, this adventure was a perfect mix of nature, history, and hands-on fun.
It was you who stole the cookie from the cookie jar. I knew it was you.
Traveling up the Oregon coast, we are on our way to Astoria, Oregon. We found Fort Clatsop, Lewis and Clark National Historical Park. We are going to go explore and learn all the details. Come with us. Let's go.
Wow, could you teach my husband how to write? See, can you remember stuff really good? Plans and a lot of questions. Nobody was taking care of it. It's nice. Okay.
We desperately need junior rangers. Would you help us? You like scavenger hunts?
To 12th grade, they get a diploma and not...
On our junior ranger book, so come along with us as we try to complete all this.
Coming up shortly here, we'll be having our first major talk of the day in about 8 minutes time about the flora of the expedition and, of course, specifically that found here in this region. Taking place in 8 minutes at the tent in front of the fort gates. Went off again. Oh, mine's off again every morning. Oh. Time correction, 5 minutes.
Generally, you get a season up.
Area plants that had to do with the expedition, their importance, but also just a couple of the plants that I enjoy around here. Describe plants, animals, people, but they also describe the weather, the geology, the geography, anything that was interesting and or important to them in that moment to send back to Thomas Jefferson. So if you know anything about scientific expeditions, they're very difficult to fund. However, if you're funding an expedition that brings in money, such as a trading expedition, you'll get that funding and you will be allowed to go. So, Thomas Jefferson had asked to go on this expedition many times to record what was in the West for scientific purposes. It was never funded. When he opened up the idea of trading, then it was. So, we began our journey west. Recorded in different ways. We had 7 description of plants. We had 9 specimens taken. We had 2 seeds that were taken. And then we had 7 sketches, so drawings that were all done in the journal. So we are currently in a Sitka spruce temperate coastal rainforest, which is very rare. And this ecosystem that we are in is because of our fog belt. If you guys have been here for more than a day, you know in the morning you wake up and there is fog everywhere. But that fog belt is very unique, and so this ecosystem that we are a part of right now makes up less than 5% of global ecosystems. Difficult to see that, but when you compare it to the western red cedar, we got this nice flat shape. This is a very beautiful tree in my opinion. It'll kind of droop because it's got this structure. And it's got these very flat leaves. I'm gonna pass. Salmonberry comes in what looks like a raspberry shape. It's got this orangish yellow. Right now, it's very difficult to find a ripe one because the birds love them. So, if you take the plant and you pull down that top one, what does it look like? Butterfly. Butterfly, yes. So, if there are no berries and there are no flowers, look for the butterfly shape in the bottom.
Fort Clatsop sits in the heart of the Sitka spruce temperate rainforest, where the coastal fog belt creates a world that feels alive with mist and magic. These forests thrive on the constant drizzle, fog, and ocean air that blanket the Oregon coast, turning the ground into a sponge and the trees into towering giants. The Sitka spruce dominates here, sharing the forest with the western hemlock, red cedar, and Douglas fir. Some of these spruces can reach over 300 feet tall, with trunks more than 16 feet wide, true coastal giants that once sheltered the Lewis and Clark expedition. And this forest doesn't just offer beauty, it also offers a berry buffet.
Actually, I'm standing on Trench 9. Goes from that flagpole all the way to the intersecting trails. That's where the Smith house was. Carlo Shane's house was in that clump of trees. They found a lot of stuff from the mid-1800s, dishes. So they rebuilt the fort then, a little more modern, a little more realistic fashion. None of these logs are 50 feet long. You notice they use axes on the end as opposed to beautifully saw cut. That fireplace is based on a colonial type of fire chimney at the time. He's got enlisted quarters, smokehouse, Charbonneau family room, captain's quarters, guardhouse, and a large picket with a gate to the north and the south out front. He writes this March 23rd, 1806, the day they leave. Clark's plans before they start construction, White House after they leave, I tend to believe it probably looked like what White House described. 1955, after the fort was built, the Oregon Historical Society found they can't take care of a fort. We had a Senator Newberger, I believe the head of the Department of Interior was a former governor of Oregon. So doing some lobbying efforts, they were able to get the government in 1958 to make us a national memorial. She created this myth of Sacagawea, which unfortunately has permeated the education system. But to answer your question, some people tell you she died in 1882, a marker. Some tribes claim that she lived an old lady with them. There was a letter sent from Fort Lisa Manuel to Clark. Charbonneau's squaw, I believe is the word they used, or wife, died December 20th, 1812, of putrid fever, which would be typhoid. Here's the problem. Charbonneau had more than one wife. The assumption is it's Sacagawea. We can't prove that. Her son, Jean Baptiste, he experienced the four major events of the West. He's on the Lewis and Clark expedition. He's in the fur trade, gold rush, and the Mexican-American War. He spoke multiple languages. Probably could have been a diplomat if he wanted to, but the frontier kept calling him back. He never made his fortune in the fur trade or gold trade. They analyzed Lewis and come to a conclusion. There's four main theories. One, he was murdered. Curate Gale believes he was assassinated. And it was interesting, a lot of intrigue here, we just can't find the proof of it. Third one is he killed himself, but it wasn't suicide. Fourth one was suicide. In the story, I'd love to find some proof of it because it's so intriguing. There's a general named James Wilkinson. He's head of the United States Army twice. James Wilkinson is a spy. He's paid by the Spanish. He was giving them information while the expedition was going. They tried to intercept it 4 times. The head general of our country was, no kidding, a spy. Lewis was an integrity, he's a threat to that, so he has him assassinated. He knows he's being followed, that's why he gets off the boat and rides his horse up the Natchez Trace, and he's assassinated on Wilkinson's direction. So the third one, this is me talking now. Lewis had a history of mental illness in his family. I believe he's manic depressive, what we call bipolar today.
Stepping into Fort Clatsop is like traveling back to the winter of 1805, when the Lewis and Clark expedition, 32 men, 1 woman, and 1 baby, and don't forget the loyal dog, hunkered down on the Oregon coast after reaching the Pacific. The reconstructed fort captures the harsh but resourceful life of that season. Costumed interpreters share how the Corps of Discovery spent their days, writing in journals, repairing tools, and making buckskin clothing, and trying to stay dry through the endless rain. History here isn't just facts, it's stories. Visitors hear about Sacagawea, who carried her infant son through the expedition, and how the team depended on her knowledge of plants and the land. Interpreters also share the mystery surrounding Meriwether Lewis's death, from the official story of suicide to the bold theories about political assassination by a U.S. general. It's the kind of tale that makes you stop and imagine what really might have happened. As you wander through the log rooms, past narrow bunks, and smoky fire pits, the sounds of the forest and the smell of the wet timber give you a sense of what that winter must have felt like. Cold, damp, and isolated, yet filled with determination and history in the making.
That's a fast way down.
You scared yourself?
What's the fastest way down?
Sliding or falling on her.
Any other time you
She's
do it.
like, the fastest way down is just belly sliding, like.
Man, your butt's all dirty now.
I found him. I think that boardwalk over there. It's over there. It's Packadoon.
When they were floating logs down the river, like we thought they were from decks or boardwalks or, you know, for ships, but it was actually, these were all for floating logs down the river. Are a maximum of 60 feet long and have been embedded in the riverbed up to 20 feet deep. And they still stand to this day. There were special permits that were needed in order to replace or repair these in the time. It's pretty interesting.
These things right here that look all wonky from a Dr. Seuss book are actually called pause tears. They're my favorite because they look straight out of a Dr. Seuss book, and plus they're as old as dinosaurs. And did you know that the horsetails back when the dinosaurs were still alive, they used to be as big as that tree? And taller.
Cool.
So I don't know if you guys think that's cool, but I think they're pretty cool.
Salmonberries, huckleberries, and thimbleberries all grow wild here, and the rangers explained how the Corps of Discovery relied on them for nutrition. Of course, Dean and Gertie were laser focused on this point. If there's a chance to hunt for edible berries, they're leading the way. Walking through the ferns and the moss-draped branches with the quiet drip of water and the hint of salt air, it is easy to see why this forest was the perfect refuge. It's history, nature, and living snack bar all in one.
In a perfect world, that spark hits that powder, goes through a little touch hole, and shaboom, it fires. A lot of noise, a lot of smoke. And it's also very corrosive. When you go up to the visitor center, you're going to see an actual Garridoni. A man named Mike Carrick, and we're going to talk about him in a second, donated his personal collection to the park. All original weapons of the expedition, except for you'll see a little short blonde rifle. That's the reproduction. Everything else is original, including a Garridoni air rifle. Probably one of 5 in the country. We've got to put air in it. A couple ways you can do that. There's a pump you can stand on, which you'll see in the visitor center, and push against it. The Austrian army apparently had an air wagon they could wheel into combat. I don't have any details on it. I personally think it might have acted like the old Wild West water pumps, except you're pumping air. I guess it's not good to be an enlisted guy because you got to do it this way. You have a standard bicycle type pump, threads in, and you pump up your air vessel. You pump it, and you pump it, and you pump it 1,500 times.
1,500.
Until you get 850 PSI. The weapon's got this actuator, I guess you can call it. It's going to engage that air pump. Air vessel, I should say. So, threads into the back of the weapon. Forms the butt of the weapon. Here's where Garridoni gets really ingenious. He's got a tubular magazine along the side of the gun here. It holds 21 rounds, a 46 caliber ball, stack them up on top of each other. It has a lever. Push that lever over, gravity feeds a ball into a little cup. You now have a breech loading, repeating air rifle. And when you pull the trigger, then it releases it. First of all, it's going to fire your first round. It's going to go about 150 yards. 400 feet per second is what they're seeing. The velocity is. Mike Carrick says it's about as powerful as a .380 pistol. Wow. So that is what Garadoni designed for the Austrian Army. I told you everyone thinks that Lewis carried a Lukens, but when in perfect order, she fires 22 times in a minute. All the balls are put at once into a short side barrel and then are dropped into the chamber of the gun one at a time by moving a spring, and when the trigger is pulled, just so much air escapes out of the airbag, which forms the breech of the gun, as serves for one ball. It is a curious piece of workmanship, not easily described, and therefore I omit attempting it. How many people think that sounds like a Lukens? How many people think that sounds like a Garadoni? Yes. Mike Carrick thinks the same thing. Mike Carrick writes a letter to We Proceeded On saying everybody's wrong. Lewis carried a Garadoni. The real Garadoni, when you look at it, it's a lot more elegant. It's got some real nice European flair. Braxton built this thing like a tank, like he builds all of his guns. We have an 1803 from him. It's absolutely solid. So this thing, I'm sure it could have worked at one time. It was made to work, but it has never fired anything in the park, certainly not as long as I've been here. It says he buys his gun in Pittsburgh, probably from Blazius, who's on the barge with him, so the connection there, that's how he got his Garadoni. Other solution, if he had a Lukens, he would have got it from Lukens in Philadelphia. Would have been an officer in the French army. While the revolution was going on, other countries were trying to attack France.
Wait, what time is it? It's lunchtime. What time is it?
I thought it was peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter jelly time. Fully dressed potato chips. What do you think, people? Yes or no? It's a potato chip flavor. It's actually not just one flavor, it's a combination of multiple flavors. Ketchup. Yes, on the West Coast, a lot on the West Coast, they have ketchup flavored potato chips. They also have barbecue, sour cream and onion, and salt and vinegar. A fully dressed is ketchup, barbecue, sour cream and onion, and salt and vinegar, all together in one tasty, scrumptious morsel.
Completely overlooked by most of the area because it's here in abundance. You have cherries everywhere, cherry products everywhere. They're so good and they're in season right now. So we're able to let the kids eat them and not spend half of our life savings on them, which is amazing, and they taste really great. So definitely coming to show you that these little buggers are really good.
And they fit inside your mouth so easily that you can just eat them while they're in your mouth. And the pig, just eat around it.
It might be.
We have checked out the fort, gone for a walk down to the canoe launch, and had some pretty intense conversations about that old-time conspiracy theory, the original court TV problem. Who killed Meriwether Lewis? We found out there were like 4 more theories of who killed Meriwether Lewis. And it seems like we're never gonna find a true answer to this. There's just theories and mystery. So it's pretty interesting. Poor man will never rest in peace, but at least we have a lot to talk about. So that's a plus.
I had no idea that in the early 1800s or late 1700s that someone had actually invented an air rifle, and to think that it was as powerful as a .380. Now I know that that's not powerful in today's standards, and probably even back then with some of the rifling and things that they did, but to have an air rifle that was that powerful back then, I can imagine that it was just like super mysterious and very sought after and incredibly rare. So to have that and to still have that here at one of the museums in the US, that's pretty cool. As he said, they had to have you almost had to have like a watchmaker or a clockmaker on staff with you to be able to maintain that rifle alone. So to think that it has survived this long is still kind of mind-blowing.
Different kinds of berries like salmon berries, blackberries, raspberries, huckleberries. And I never tried a huckleberry, and there's something called a thimbleberry. Sorry. But they are really cool, and I got to try 2 thimbleberries, and they are awesome. They're amazing. They're like squishy raspberries, but they don't really have that many seeds, so it's good. And huckleberries, they're kind of sour when they're not ripe. But when they're really red, then they're awesome. They're not sweet. They're not tart. They're the right amount of flavor. A salal berry I didn't try because it has so many seeds. When she popped it open, I did not want to try it. So I said hard pass on that one. I also like to give a special shout out to Fort Clatsop and the park ranger that taught me all about those different kinds of berries. Thank you. I spent lots of time completing my junior ranger book, and finally, let's go. I'm finally done, and we can finally go inside the ranger station and get my junior ranger badge. Come on. When the war was over, this is what they had in the house, in the White House. Peace. The locals.
So how many do we have from the other place?
22 or 23.
But the visitor center
2.
was 2.
This is my new friend. His name is Carl.
Our final stop at Fort Clatsop was the Visitor Center and Museum, and it's the perfect place to bring the whole experience together. Inside, you'll find interactive exhibits, artifacts, and historical displays that give a deeper look into the Lewis and Clark expedition. There are even short films that walk through the challenges, discoveries, and everyday life of the Corps of Discovery. We loved seeing these items like tools, trade goods, and weapons up close, things that helped this small group of explorers survive a Pacific Northwest winter. The museum also tells the story of the fort reconstruction, how the original site deteriorated after the expedition left, and how today's replica fort lets visitors step back into 1805. Before heading out, we made a quick stop for a family favorite, the Junior Ranger program. Dean and Gertie turned in their completed booklets, answered a few last questions from the Rangers, and proudly received their Junior Ranger badges, adding another memory to the growing collection. It was the perfect way to wrap up our day at Fort Clatsop. Part history lesson, part outdoor adventure, and a whole lot of family fun. This site truly brings the story of the Corps of Discovery to life, leaving you with a new appreciation of their journey and the wild Oregon coast that they once called home.
Okay, I, and say your name.
Oops, sorry.
Promise to preserve and protect our park, care for my natural and historical surroundings, to share what I have learned about the park with others, and to continue to explore these treasures. There you go. Good job. You're both official junior park rangers for Lewis Park National Historical Park.
Get out of the next door's yard where no one is. I'm just gonna be like, I got this.
Yeah, that is amazing. That board is really cool.
I love that. I do.